going to talk through the difference between dependent events and independent events. Two events are dependent if the occurrence of one event affects the probability of the second event. Two events are independent if the occurrence of one event does not affect the probability of the second event. Now, to understand how one event could affect the probability of a second event, let's review how to calculate probability. Remember, probability is a fraction where the numerator has the number of favorable outcomes and the denominator has the number of possible outcomes. So with dependent events, one event affects the probability of the second event because the total number of possible outcomes has changed. What goes down in the denominator has changed. Where with independent events, an event is only independent if the number of possible outcomes stays the same. So with dependent events, the possible outcome changes. With independent events, it stays the same. So how could it change? Well, with dependent events, here's an example. If you're drawing one marble from a bag and then not replacing it, and then you draw a second marble. Imagine, when you draw the marble the first time, there might be 20 marbles in the bag. You pick one out, and you don't replace it. So now there's only 19 marbles in the bag when you're picking the second marble. So the probability is changing because the number of marbles, the number of possible outcomes, has changed. Where with a similar independent event, if you draw one marble from a bag, but then you replace it, and then you draw a second marble. So say when you're drawing that first marble, there's 20 marbles in the bag. You pick one, and you put it back. When you draw the second marble, there's still 20 marbles in the bag. So the number of possible outcomes has not changed. Here's another example of an independent event. You flip a coin, and then you roll a dice. That one, hopefully you see why they're obviously independent. Because when you flip a coin, that's not changing the possible outcomes when you roll a dice. When you roll a dice, there's 6 sides. It's not like when you flip a coin, now there's only 5 sides. So the possible outcomes for that second event do not change.